What is up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Justice Cards. Let's go. We've got our Witchcrafter cards revealed. We have both of them here, and things are interesting. All right, listen, I gave them a quick run through, but I gotta read through them again because I gave them the quickest scan just because I saw that they got revealed. But let's get into this thing. Starting off with a fusion monster. Probably not what you were thinking, but let's see. Witchcrafter Vice Master is her name. I believe she is the Vice Master because Madame Vare is the Master, unless they plan on making another card that's like the Master. I don't know. Whatever. She's a level 8 Dark Spellcaster Fusion Effect Monster, 2700 attack, 2800 defense. Her materials are 1 Witchcrafter plus another Spellcaster, so leaves a little bit of openness there for that second material, but one of them does have to be a Witchcrafter. But we have a Rhoda in the deck. We have pretty easy access to Witchcrafter monsters, so that's not the craziest thing in the world. She has one effect, and this is what that effect reads. When a non-fusion spellcaster monster's effect or a spell card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can activate one of these effects, and you can only use one of these 3 effects per turn. Ooh. Oh, okay. Oh, whoa. I didn't even realize this the first time I read over this. This effect is not hard once per turn. And you can activate all 3 in the same turn. You just can't do the same effect twice. Ooh, spicy. Okay, so the first effect says, destroy 1 card on the field. That's non-destruction, by the way, so those effects are really annoying to work around that way. So nice, you get removal plus disruption as well. Second effect says special summon 1 level 6 or lower Witchcrafter monster from your hand or deck. That's hand or deck, really solid. And the third effect is add 1 Witchcrafter spell or trap from your graveyard back to your hand. Not too shabby. Now, listen, I had talked about this actually before. It's kind of funny that we got a fusion monster because I had talked about how we got Hane and Madame Vare in the main deck, and I had said if they had just made Hane and Madame Vare fusions that work like the same way that the Thunder Dragon fusions like work, then like I think the deck could actually have been like a legitimately decent like rogue deck, because you wouldn't have to play the main deck bricks. It'd be so much more easy to access and all that stuff. It makes room for other utility cards and all that. But anyway, this card is not bad. Now the question remains, how easy is it going to be to make this card? Well, let's see. For this next card is Witchcrafter Confusion. So get a fusion in the name. This is our fusion spell. Normal spell card. You can only use one of the first and second effects of this card's name per turn, and only once that turn. That is a mainstay for all of the Witchcrafter spells. They all do, the second effect's always the same, which is during your end phase. If it's in the grave, you can just add it back to your hand if you control a Witchcrafter. So they all add themselves back. The only thing with that is that you can only do one of their effects. If you activated that turn, you don't get to add it back that turn. You have to wait until the next turn's end phase to get it back. But if you can keep the deck, keep the duel into like a grindy situation, then you just start like rotating resources like crazy. And so this deck in a grind actually holds up pretty well. Anyway, this effect reads, fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, including at least 1 Witchcrafter monster. Interesting there. Well, I'm going to use the word interesting there. Unfortunately for I don't know, for me, if this card said you could send maybe even just 1 material from deck, this card would be so clean, because then it's like the deck has its own, you know, fusion destiny type thing. Just 1 card, plop a boss monster on the field, and the boss monster is actually pretty decent. But you know, at the end of the day, I'm not too upset about this. It's still a card that all the spells, if you just discard them for the main deck Witchcrafter effects, then you do just get to use their effects on end phase to add back. Plus, if you can just get her out once, the deck has its Monster Reborn card that they all have the same clause. They come back every turn, and if you can just keep reviving this card every single time, I don't even know about the ruling. Does this card trigger if you use like a spell to summon it and then it hits the field? Does it get to trigger if the spell was, if it got summoned like from the spell's effect? I don't know. Let me know down below. I'd be curious about that. But I like that it's spell card or effect, because that means even if you use like an end phase spell effect to add itself back, you could then use her effect just to summon from deck. So I think this card actually has some pretty decent legs. The one thing I did want to mention here, just because I saw it and I was like, if the spell's not good enough, there is one card that can potentially save this in the deck, and that is Magicalized Fusion. This card's pretty cool. Pretty much long story short, it lets you fusion summon from by banishing materials from field or grave, but only for spellcasters. And yeah, she's a spellcaster. The only thing I would question here is that a lot of times you go through stuff like Shmeta, and when you go through Shmeta, I believe she banishes herself from grave to get a free send, Foolish Burial, of a Witchcrafter card, which you usually want to do. So you wouldn't get that send, but if you're going through Shmeta, your best starter for monsters, you would have to banish it with this card potentially. But I know there are combos that easily go through 2 or 3 of the small ones. So maybe this card becomes playable in the deck. Maybe you play something like Magician's Souls, just because all the spells add themselves back anyway. You could set them, send them for Magician's Souls, and then add them back on the end phase anyway, while also putting Magician's Souls and other spellcaster in grave to make something like Magicalized Fusion live. Just some things to consider. So I do think this is actually pretty cool. I'm actually pretty interested to test this out and see how well it holds up, because the deck does have some cool things. I think you read some of the cards and you're like, okay, yes, Ash Blossom is a huge problem for the deck, but I do still think the mechanic for the deck is not the worst thing in the world. It's just a little slow. And look, right now, we're actually in somewhat of a slower format, in the sense that people aren't ending on these end-all be-all like crazy 5-negate boards. People are ending on like a couple interruptions. They just want to do enough and have follow-up. And if you can get through that, you can get it going. So if you can like simplify the board state, get the state cleared and into a grindy situation, this deck can actually end up overcoming some of the meta decks, I would believe, and especially with a boss monster as powerful as this one. So really cool stuff. Definitely can't wait to try it out. Hopefully we get this sooner than later. And I think the only thing we're waiting on from the secret shiny box in the OCG now is one unknown Sky Striker card. We already got the 2 Mayakashi cards. We got the first Sky Striker card, which was like the kaiju, kind of searchable kaiju for Sky Strikers. So now we only have one more card. I assume it'll be a spell, but who knows? And they're saving it for last, so it might be something kind of crazy, but we'll have to wait and see. But all in all, pretty cool. I'm with it. I mean, I didn't think they were going to make Witchcrafters like meta competitive out the gate, but this will help. I think it gives them I think this probably makes it the best boss monster. Also, I didn't even mention this. I don't love that it needs a spellcaster effect to trigger, but like if you summon this on your turn, there was a very high chance you activated one of your spells in grave to add itself back, which means she would at least get to special summon a level 6 Witchcrafter or lower Witchcrafter from deck, which means it would have its quick effect live to be able to activate on the opponent's turn. So like even just bare bones, just making this card should theoretically already set you up to trigger it at least once yourself, and it triggers off of any spell or spell activation or effect. So every time your opponent is activating a spell or a spell effect, this card is triggering and getting you insane value. So yeah, really solid. Let me know your thoughts down below. Cannot wait to hear that. Yeah, really cool one. Stay tuned for more. We'll probably be getting, pretty soon, we'll probably start getting more and more of the next core set Dimension. It was a Dimension Force reveals. Those are probably coming in the next couple weeks here. But yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe if you have not yet and you want to see more stuff from me down the line. Peace.